Thank you, Cade, and welcome to a soggy, slippery BMO Field for the long-awaited Grey Cup rematch as a pair of third-place teams look to shake off the 2025 rust to begin building towards the 112th Grey Cup. Marshall Ferguson alongside Twain Ford. Matthew Shinetti here with us. Unfortunately for Matthew, down in the rain throughout the evening as we have a great matchup at quarterback. It's the Grey Cup MVP, of course, Nick Arbuckle, and Zach Collaros, who wishes so much, Dwayne, that he would have been able to finish that game without the laceration in his hand last year.
Yeah, and aside from that, Zach wishing he could have finished the game last week against Calgary, but he's back this week, ready to roll, looking to lead his team to victory in the aforementioned Grey Cup rematch. Nick Arbuckle, yeah, looking to get these Toronto Argonauts back in the win column, stuck on one victory, holding down the fort in the absence of Chad Kelly, still on the injured list.
Brian Dinwiddie awaiting for his quarterback and Chad Kelly to come back, but just wanting more overall from his group. He's really been pushing the boundaries throughout this year, trying to push the right buttons at the right time to make this group get fired up. And Mike O'Shea says he's extremely excited for the opportunity to be here on the road as these two teams, you heard Kate mention it in the opening, it has been a long time since they have played, coming off of back-to-back losses for each of them. That's the reality tonight. Time to dig their way out in the battle between East and West as Jeremiah Ojo downfield gets a special teams tackle here to open things up. And Zach Collaros hits the field, highly motivated. Asked him how he was staying young this week, and he just said, well, Stanley Bryant. Well, Stanley Bryant's not in the lineup tonight, so Zach's got to be young regardless.
Yeah, and the thing about Zach, one of the things we talked with him about is just keeping that even keel and recognizing it's not about not having a sense of urgency, because the Bombers understand that, but they just have so many players who have sort of been there before, been through all the ups and downs, and recognize that ultimately it's where you finish, not necessarily how you start, that matters here in the Canadian Football League. So not pressing the panic button at this point.
We'll begin with an inside handoff here. Brady Oliveira, the reigning MOP, bombs his way right through the middle of this offense, and he's surrounded by a great group offensively.
Yeah, as mentioned on the offensive line, Stanley Bryant out of the lineup. Micah Vanterpool makes the start in his place at left tackle. And Dalton Schoen, another big name that continues to be on the injured list for the Bombers. Cody Case looking to provide some speed in that receiving corps in his absence.
2 catches, but one of them went for a touchdown for Cody Case as they'll have a flag come up here, handed off to Brady Oliveira, who had a first down on first down, the first touch of the ball game. And you expect with the conditions here tonight that number 20 will get plenty of love from Jason Hogan, the offensive coordinator, but we'll sort out the flag here for the first time this evening.
Offside, Winnipeg number 10. That penalty be declined. Second down.
Tom Gillespie, our referee this evening, makes the call.
You'll see Nick Dembski coming out of the slot, bottom of your screen. Just a little bit ahead of that snap.
25 degrees, feels like 31. A little bit of drizzle here coming down about an hour before kickoff. And the gusts up to about 20 kilometers an hour. The flags will be flying at various points throughout the night. Collaros will throw for the first time here into those conditions. Pressure is on, and the Argonauts get home early and often as they have all season. As that one is Aaron Casey flying in and making the play, the 15th sack of the season for Toronto.
Yeah, and this is one that's going to frustrate a little bit from a Winnipeg point of view. As you're getting 5 rushers against a max protection scheme, there's Aaron Casey, the linebacker, mugged up in the line of scrimmage. 3 linemen, 2 linebackers on the rush. No outnumbering, no free men in that circumstance. That's just man-on-man protection, beating your guy straight up.
2-man return back here. Dave Unger, the third, alongside Janarian Grant. They'll kick it to Janarian Grant as they fake the reverse, and Janarian, after a 57-yard punt, will return this out to the 28-yard line. As the Argonauts defense making plays early and often. Much of this year, it has been number 94, Andrew Chatfield Jr., who's been great, but this was a group effort. And Aaron Casey gets credit for it as Toronto gets their first offensive possession, thanks to the D. Quarterback Chad Kelly still week to week at this point. So Nick Arbuckle, the starting quarterback again for the Toronto Argonauts, and the only quarterback to attempt to pass so far this season for the Double Blue, Dwayne.
Yeah, the Argos once again young at the quarterback position with Kelly out of the lineup. Arbuckle, obviously the veteran. Cameron Dukes, who started the first part of last year, released at the end of camp.
Oh, they'll throw it backwards here. The lefty, Janarian Grant, on the double pass. He hung it up, and it falls into the waiting arms of Demonte Coxey. He had 6 explosive plays coming in, but that one, the most creative of deliveries.
A little creativity out of the gate, Janarian Grant. We don't typically see a lot of him in the Toronto Argonaut offense. And I'm not great with my baseball references. Can you give me a left-handed knuckleballer?
Well, it's Janarian Grant who coming into this game. 1 target, no catches, no carries. That one's not going to count for much of anything because it was a throw down the field despite the fact that he caught it and let it go. So Nick Arbuckle, a bit of a smirk on that one as Toronto sends a message on the opening play as Deontay McMahon takes the carry inside. It looks like he's slow to get up, but yeah, Demonte Coxey's been an explosive player down the field, but Toronto really sending the message here on the first play that they're not messing around. They're going to get after it here tonight.
Yeah, well, this is it. You've got to generate ways to make big plays. It's been so talked about so much in recent years as Coxey makes a nice adjustment to make the grab on that one just through the hands of Evan Holm. But so much talk about the understanding now in the Canadian Football League as we get into analytics about the correlation between the number of explosive plays and success and winning football games. And it's become one of those checklist items, I guess, for most coaches in terms of the battle you need to win. We need to create more explosive plays than we give up. And you look for different ways to create them. And for the Toronto Argonauts, sometimes that requires a little bit more imagination than it might if Chad Kelly were in the lineup, quite frankly.
Deontay McMahon still down on the field here. And he looked at, as you see, his first touch of the ball game brought down by Person, and yeah, just looks like that right leg got wrapped up underneath as he got pulled down to the turf. And so training staff is out, and we'll take a look at him as the strange twists and turns of the Toronto Argonauts running backs continue this year, as Chad Kelly watching on from the sidelines here. And he has seen plenty of body, whether it be Kadeem Carey, Kevin Brown, Mayan Williams, Deontay McMahon. Plenty of bodies coming and going. Kalen Leyburn as well is in the lineup here tonight, the only other listed running back in the lineup for the Argonauts. But one of the great oddities, Dwayne, of this group is Leyburn's got 3 carries, 5 yards, and a touchdown. McMahon has 13 carries, 48 yards, and a touchdown. Mayan Williams leads Toronto with 21 carries. He's on the injured list, no touchdowns. Right? Just about opportunity and timing.
No, that's it. It's been, as you said, obviously an interesting year for the Toronto Argonauts in terms of that backfield. But Kadeem Carey released out of camp after his great year last year. Of course, our best wishes to Kadeem after he suffered that knee injury last week.
Okay, Leyburn checks into the game. Ottawa last season, free agent signing here in 2025. Nice hard count from Arbuckle, and Willie J, who's given Arbuckle all kinds of trouble in the 111th Grey Cup. Looks like he might have taken a jump.
Offside. Winnipeg number 5. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Willie talked to us this week about working on that get off in the offseason, wanting to have that quick first step in terms of his pass rush. But I don't think that's quite what he had in mind.
An intriguing conversation with Willie, kind of the hidden analytical mind behind one of the all-time greats, pass rushing off the edge. But he stands on the sideline here as Arbuckle pumps and now looks to throw over the top, in the air, on the money. Demonte Coxey, touchdown Argos.
Argos aggressive gate. Again, it's a little misdirection to create that big play. Not sure whether that pump fake was part of the plan or whether it was forced by the defender in front of him, but it worked out perfectly as DeMonte Coxey gets a little separation in behind his defender.
There's tremendous aggression and design from Ryan Dinwiddie and the Argonauts coaching staff here early on. The double pass from Janarian Grant to DeMonte Coxey, and then Coxey, a little slant and go, giving it to the Winnipeg defense. They gave up 29 Vernon Adams Jr. completions over the last 2 weeks. 20 of them were for 10 yards or more, as this one is no good. And so the score remains 6-0. Argonauts over the Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup rematch. DeMonte Coxey, as he does so often, running free into the end zone. His 4th touchdown of the season from number 4.
And you'll see the man of the moment, DeMonte Coxey, at the top of your screen. He's going to break in first, and that's where you'll see the pump fake happen. Arbuckle sells it. Defender Terrell Bonds bites. That allows Coxey to get in behind Arbuckle over the top to put the Argos on the board.
Came in with 6 explosive plays behind only Kenny Lawler, who has 8 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Well, quickly, Coxey trying to catch up before Lawler and the Tiger Cats take on the Lions tomorrow to round out a great Week 8 here in the Canadian Football League as Winnipeg gets their 2nd possession of the ball game. Zach Collaros back at the controls here.
Zach Collaros, well-traveled veteran in the Canadian Football League, has experienced really the highest highs as a Grey Cup champion, most outstanding player in this league on a couple of occasions, and obviously the lowest lows, battling injuries along the way. Great to see a healthy Zach still doing his thing.
Careers began right here in Toronto as a thundering run from Brady Oliveira all the way up to the 50-yard line that time. A first down, 13 yards as Toronto's defense looks like this, trying to put up with number 20 all night.
Along that defensive line, got to have second-year man Derek Parrish back at his defensive end position, helped spark that pass rush. Deshaun Blackburn, second-year Canadian out of Alberta, will make the start at the nickel linebacker spot, and the always dangerous Tavares McFadden, a couple interceptions already this year. He's in the field corner.
We're lurking here, looking for an opportunity as Collaros rolls away and throws this one underneath. Quickly rallying to make the tackle that time on Joey Corcoran, getting his first target and catch in his first year out of New Hampshire on the play as Tyshawn Blackburn flies out from that cover linebacker spot as he gets the start there this evening.
Yeah, quick look here. We've seen a couple of good runs from Brady Oliveira out of the gate. That's the bread and butter, the catalyst in this Bombers offense. That sets up the short pass to Joey Corcoran. Montrealer did a little bit of prep school time in New England before, as you said, heading on to New Hampshire.
Go back to Oliveira this time. Looks like he lost his footing right in the hole. So on 2nd down and 4. Now there's Parrish getting into it at the end of the play. As Oliveira slipping and sliding, looking for the first down marker. He needed to get to the 51-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts, and Tom Valesi will whistle this one and ask for a measurement.
And absolutely no surprise, weather aside, to see Brady Oliveira front and center in this Bombers offense in the early going.
I think he was telling Cam, I mean, I slipped.
Yeah, it was going down anyway.
Great matchup between Brady and this front for the Argonauts here this evening as they'll pull the chains tight and see whether or not Oliveira got all the way to the 51. He will. First down, Blue Bombers on the ground despite Brady losing his footing that time. And so Collaros with a play call already in, ready to rock once they reset at the chains. Unsurprising that Mike O'Shea seems extremely unbothered by the rain in a t-shirt, any conditions. Crowd brings the noise here as Oliveira gets yet another touch. Rolls his way forward that time for a gain of 6, maybe 7 on the play.
Well, Bombers doing a nice job with that ground game. And it seems to be one of those constants in the game of football that no matter how many other things change, the importance of establishing the run game in terms of overall offensive success is an ever-present.
Well, being able to find that balance and to play off Oliveira when you got the gunslinger and Zach Collaros who knows how to take those deep shots as well, as Collaros kills the play at the line of scrimmage, goes immediately to the second one he called in the huddle, and that is a quick little play action fake and flips it out. Jarrett Stearns makes the grab. Low average depth of target, and that'll be his 16th catch of the season already.
Yeah, Winnipeg, a team that doesn't really make a habit in terms of the way they construct their team of signing a lot of veteran CFL free agents from other teams, but Jarrett Stearns coming over from Saskatchewan in the offseason, adding some depth to that receiving corps.
Collaros really hasn't opened it up as of yet in this first quarter. Goes back to the ground attack, pushing the pile up front, running right into Tyshawn Blackburn, and who else? Wynton McManus, out for a couple of games early in this season, but driving the legs and trying to turn around Oliveira. Mutual respect between those two all-CFLers.
Yeah, they've met once or twice over the course of their careers. Wynton McManus so important to this Toronto Argonaut defense. You think about all the losses that they suffered in free agency on the defensive side of the ball, but this is sort of the centerpiece. This is a guy they targeted as one that they needed to keep here in double blue. Great for them to have him back in the lineup with what he brings on and off the field.
Well, empty out Oliveira this time into the flats. Collaros looks over the top corner out. Here's Wheatfall dropping it into the bucket, but Wheatfall couldn't hang on.
And it appeared just couldn't survive that landing. Got in behind coverage. Laid out perfectly. You see him in between the two defenders here. Well thrown ball, gets the arms underneath it, but just there is no way of cushioning that landing.
How about the ball placement by Collaros, though? Perfect spot, dropping it in just over the outstretched arms of Benji Franklin, who bailed back to make that a difficult throw as Sergio Castillo almost lost his footing on the kick that time, but knocks that one up and through. He's 13 of 14 on the season now. As it could have been 7, they'll settle for 3 at this point as DeMonte Coxey on the receiving end from Nick Arbuckle, the early touchdown, and the Argonauts with possession when we return to Toronto. Nick Arbuckle, the Grey Cup MVP, playing on the road, Percival Molson Stadium against the Montreal Alouettes, and pieced together a really nice game, but just couldn't stop Davis Alexander and that darn hammy from getting into the end zone. As despite what Arbuckle was able to piece together, the Argonauts fell late in that one against Montreal, but a nice performance for him on the road.
Yeah, certainly progress for the Toronto Argonauts, and Nick Arbuckle in this role. Again, one of the veteran backups in this league. Another well-traveled guy, Nick Arbuckle.
Got 10 touchdowns on the season now, 8 interceptions as he'll hand it off inside. And the Argonauts starting offense with a couple of moving pieces up front.
Yeah, along that offensive line, John Boss, second-year man out of the University of Calgary, takes over at right tackle. Some injuries there with Ryan Hunter on him, Dunkwa out. Shane Richards also in the lineup, by the way. Kevin Mittal, the Toronto Argonauts' leading receiver, 18 catches in his last 2 outings for the second-year man from Laval.
Shane Richards in the lineup after being signed just about 5 days ago, as Arbuckle with pressure on, tries to escape, can't get away. Is that Tony Jones, the leader of this Winnipeg defense in the middle? 34 total plays defensively. That's more than 15 better than second place on the Blue Bombers defense.
Tony Jones from his middle linebacker position. Number of starts for him last year. Working kind of a two-man game on that left side with the defensive end, but finds himself coming free.
Rain's starting to come down a little bit harder now. And return after a 30-yard ball out of bounds, and the Argonauts, the last to touch it, is about to say Brandon Calvert down the field after a 50-yard punt at the 30-yard line. And Toronto flips field position with the fumble on the return. Trey Vavel just couldn't hang on. Neither could Calvert, but it's double blue ball. The weather certainly causing havoc here as Vavel trying to cut outside Derek Sluka. As Vavel tried to switch arms with the football, knocking it loose. Brandon Calvert jumps on top, and let's throw it down to Matthew Shea to find out how the conditions are affecting this Week 8 matchup.
Breaking news, Marshall. It's raining. And yet again, I'm in the rain. And also, when you consider BMO Field, I'm talking to you about the surface. The grass is long. There are a lot of divots in it. 7 stud shoes are on the menu today, and that's not only for the players on offense and defense, but Liram Haurelau has it on his planting foot. Not sure it helped him in that point after attempt. Sergio Castillo, though, is not changing his shoes. And something else to consider about this grass. This is one of the final events at BMO Field for this grass before it is torn up and a new surface is put in place as BMO Field continues its preparation for the 2026 World Cup, Marshall.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, I get a sense Danny Webb and Brad Foddy for the equipment managers might be a little busy as we go throughout the evening here. It's almost like tire degradation. You can sense the field starting to get torn up more and more difficult for them to get the wheels turning as Caleb Leyburn might have got free that time, but once again, Tony Jones just flies out and makes the play. The leader of this Winnipeg defense, there he is.
As the Argos try to get the corner on that one. Keep an eye today on James Vaughters, former Calgary Stampeder, coming over to be a bookend opposite Willie Jefferson. Still looking for his first sack of the season. Reddick Cramdy proven himself as one of the top nickel linebackers in the Canadian Football League. We'll keep an eye on Terrell Bonds at the boundary corner in that matchup with DeMonte Coxie. A couple good ones going head-to-head over there.
Hard to believe Kyrie Wilson as well. 8th year, all in Winnipeg, starting at that weak side linebacker spot, is on second down. Arbuckle is going to fade this one up high for Coxie. One-on-one. Terrell Bonds on cue, holds his own, still looking for his first interception of the season. Got beat on that slant and go on the Coxie touchdown, Dwayne, but did a good job of squeezing the sideline that time.
Yeah, and Arbuckle looking for a big play to Coxie all the way on the outside on this one. There's the matchup with those two. You can see Bonds, eyes in the backfield, peripherally seeing where his receiver is, perfectly positioned to make a play on that.
No wonder they're going after that Coxie matchup. 6'3", 207 against Bonds, who's 5'8", 185. About 20 pounds and 5 inches difference, not to mention the length, as the field goal is up and good for Liram Haurelau. Now 13 of 15 on the season here, despite missing the extra point, and the defense for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers able to hold it to 3. So Zach Collaros retakes the field here, down 9-3 in the Grey Cup rematch.
Zach Collaros banged up last week, took a little bit of a shot in that return match against Calgary. Saw him taken down hard there by Clarence Hicks. Did not return to that game. We're ready to roll here today.
Ended up finishing 8 of 11, but that was a big pop from Hicks. As Collaros gets rolled on this one, I think Cam Judge caught him just as he released the football. Collaros just down for a moment to tidy up that shoelace, gather himself, and get set for 2nd and 2 after the 8-yard gain.
That was the linebacker, Cam Judge, who came free on that one to deliver a shot. Exactly. Able to a little better prepare himself for the impact that time as opposed to last week.
Chris Strevler enters the game for the first time. Surprised we haven't actually seen the wet weather running quarterback package here already in this ball game, but Strevler with a low snap, it rolls along the ground, loses his footing, and somehow gets back on top of it. Derek Parrish flying off the ball, was nearly there in time to steal it away from Strevler. But regardless, on 2nd and 2, the Bombers go backwards and the punting unit has to come out.
Well, we'll see if this was just a grip issue for the center, Chris Kolinkowski. And actually a pretty good adjustment reaction from Kolinkowski, as you'll see, sort of loses control of it, recognizes one way or another, I got to get it back there. So he just rolls it back to Strevler and gives himself a chance to try and protect his quarterback.
Kolinkowski's not going to be proud about that, but he should be.
Well,
that's procedure. Winnipeg, an illegal snap.
Yeah, I wonder.
They'll decline that penalty. It'll be 3rd down.
Snapped it twice, right? Like that was kind of like the ball was rolling along the ground, and then you just kind of force it backwards. But I mean, your weight is all going forwards. It's obviously a running play. 2nd and 2, Strevler in.
Yeah.
To be able to fly off the ball and somehow still get your weight to push the football backwards. Won't go on the highlight reel at the end of the career, but it might be a vital play for field position here as Janarian Grant catches it at the 20-yard line. It's a 53-yard punt. And the wheels were turning there for number 3, but just lost an edge. More twists, more turns, more challenges. Don't miss an all-new Amazing Race Canada Tuesdays on CTV. Stream the next day as well on Crave. They were up north recently. Did you see that?
I did not see that. I was thinking you and I could do the Amazing Race.
I would love that.
I'll do the driving.
Yep.
You know, because, you know, spotty record.
Yeah.
For you, Marsh.
Yeah, of course. What can I take care of? I'm trying to think of what my strength is in the Amazing Race.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any gross stuff, I'm not eating it.
I believe that's a different ship. Oh, ball's out as it pops onto the ground here, picked up by Winnipeg, and James Vaughters rumble into the end zone. It's wet, it's sloppy, it's slippery, and it's a Bombers touchdown.
Well, James Vaughters may still be looking for his first sack as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, but he's got his first touchdown. Big play for the Bombers D. Tough grip on that football, gets knocked away from Leyburn. And Vaughters scoops it up cleanly and is off to the races.
And the ball carriers in this football game put in a real difficult spot, right? I mean, you know better than anybody because you got to run the rock. Hey, it's pouring rain. We can't really throw the ball, but you got to secure that thing, right? And Leyburn in there, stepping in for Deontay McMahon, who was out after the first carry. Down injured, getting rolled up on his right leg. So not expecting a ton of touches tonight as Leyburn, but all of a sudden gives up the fumble that turns into a touchdown for James Vaughters.
Yeah, now seeing each of these two teams lose a fumble and give up points off of those respective turnovers. And no question, ball security has got to become a point of added emphasis.
Damage limitation is Demonte Coxie smart to actually go pack it away, hoping to punch that out for Vaughters as well. Kevin Mittal couldn't get there in time to make a play on it. So Leyburn wearing that one a little bit on the sidelines, tries to rebound as quick as he can. As Toronto about to get possession back, but the 9th year, the big man James Vaughters making a big play in this one. We saw a wet weather game earlier this season in Calgary, and this one's starting to get that feel of what can you do to gain yards, protect the football, limit the mistakes. That one got away from the Stampeders earlier on this year before a tremendous run of victories, including back-to-back against these Winnipeg Blue Bombers the last couple of weeks. Castillo puts it on the tee, drives this one deep. It's Leyburn back alongside Grant, and it'll be Janarian who gets the touch, trying to dance, but again, you can see because of the field conditions and the rain, not really able to get up to top speed the way we've seen him earlier this season.
Yeah, you look at the turn of events and think about Janarian Grant on the last punt return, where it looked like dry field conditions, maybe different surface. He's able to turn that corner. And, I mean, whether he breaks it to score or at the very least flips the field a little bit. that you may not have been looking at a scoring opportunity, even if the turnover happened for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But those two back-to-back sort of plays for the Toronto Argonauts, with the conditions being a factor, result in the Bombers taking the lead.
Three receivers to the right of Arbuckle. His pressure is on, and he has to shut it down and take a seat. Well, right after getting a touchdown, how about you follow it up with your first sack of the season?
Yeah, that's a couple of pretty good plays back-to-back for James Vaughters. For 93 from his defensive end spot. And he slides down inside to rush against the guard and just caught Anthony Vandal flat-footed. There, a little bit of a mismatch in terms of quickness as you take that edge rusher, put him on an inside guy, typically used to blocking bigger bodies.
Arbuckle with 6 receivers available as they empty it out. Looks to throw and pressure's on again. He loses his helmet and he takes a seat as the flag comes out. And did the bucket get ripped off?
Looked like Vaughters was through there again, wreaking havoc. Not sure if it was.
Jay Person looking on. Made a play earlier on.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Winnipeg number 38, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So keep an eye on Person, top right corner of your screen. Coming on the rush. But at a glance, it looked like that right hand. It was obscured a little bit. So we can see the left on the back of Arbuckle, but there you see the right hand getting a hold of the face mask and popping that helmet off.
Got hooked in just enough to rip it off. Otherwise, Toronto's going backwards yet again. They'll fake the run, and Arbuckle. And Toronto's offense needs all the help that they can get all of a sudden in these conditions. Tony Jones flies in and brings down the Argonauts Grey Cup MVP from last November. Well, the Toronto Argonauts, the last time they were 1-6 was 2019. A 41-24 Grey Cup victory in last November's showdown against these Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A fantastic explosive start, but plenty of work to do. They trail by 1 at the end of quarter 1. The Toronto Argonauts got after it early on with their play calling. A double pass, Janarian Grant to DeMonte Coxie, then a slant and go into the end zone. They had a field goal, feeling good. Up 9-3, and then all of a sudden, a couple of snaps here and there, goes a little sideways. Kalen Laburn loses the football. James Vaughters comes to life. Tony Jones. How do you manage this situation if you're Winnipeg or Toronto, Dwayne, knowing that it is getting as slippery as it's been for either of these teams all season?
Well, so much of it is just that emphasis about ball security and understanding the conditions. It may mean that you're a little bit more conservative. I don't necessarily mean just in play calling. We automatically think in terms of running, but just in terms of your movements. You always sort of have to be in control and balance and understand the field conditions, but you know, get your footwear situation straightened out ASAP, because it just sort of seems like the way that quarter ended, whichever team figures out the conditions first is going to be in the best position to win this ballgame.
Momentum swings will continue back and forth, no doubt, all night long as Arbuckle gets this throw away. Sliding down to make the grab, it is DeMonte Coxie. Gets onto his feet, runs down the sideline and adds some yards after the catch. And on second down and very long, the Argonauts are able to earn that one the hard way, thanks to Coxie, who's really been the basis of this whole offense so far.
Yeah, and they really did have to work for this one. Coxie does a nice job getting down to the turf to go get that ball. And watch how quickly he gets himself up to make the defender, Marquise Bridges, miss that first tackle.
Hard to believe, but DeMonte Coxie did not have a 100-yard receiving game coming into this one. His maximum in a game was 6 catches, 99 yards. Well, he's got 101 yards already here on the evening of week 8 as Kalen Laburn runs into a brick wall. Retta Crandy right there alongside, once again, James Vaughters. Tony Jones was in there as well, but Cramdy from the University of Montreal And that cover linebacker spot leads to a loss of 2 yards on first down.
And it almost appeared as we talked about protecting the football, being conservative in terms of your movements and so on. Almost as if Leyburn recognized he was surrounded by white jerseys and just kind of protected the football and got down, quite frankly, instead of risking letting people take shots at it.
Great point. Reminds me of Andrew Harris, former Argo and Bomber, when he wouldn't have a gain, just throwing it out of bounds to avoid the losses. Nice completion this time. Dejon Brissett one-on-one with Evan Holm, and he wants to stay on his feet. Tony Jones runs back, makes the play, but Brissett, tremendous effort, refusing to go down. And he gets his 18th catch of the season.
Yeah, Brissett with the big catch. But keep an eye as this play unfolds for Kevin Mittal, who's out in the flat. He's right around center field. He's coming up looking for a block, and he finds one in a big way. He's clearing out the defender. I think that looked like Bridges.
It's the longest catch of the season for Dejon Brissett. Previously 24 yards. That one goes for 30 as Arbuckle stumbles out of the pocket. Rips this one sidearm. Dave Unger III on the receiving end. Extremely close to the first down marker on 1st and 10. They'll be inside the 20, and the Argonauts have officially entered the score zone where they have been proficient this season.
Yeah, nice adjustment here by Nick Arbuckle with Waters once again in his face. You saw him pull up and then just a quick little shuffle inside to change up the angle, create a lane to his receiver, Dave Unger III.
Well, it drives home the point when you're watching the delivery from Nick Arbuckle there. When you play football in the dry versus football in the wet, it's a completely different game. Yeah. You're almost playing a different sport, it feels like. This time, hard play action, and Willie Jefferson right there on Arbuckle, flying off the edge. Well, there's not much worse feelings you can have as a quarterback than a naked bootleg. You turn around and see number 5 waiting for you.
Yeah, Willie Jefferson comes off that edge, free man. And Arbuckle recognizing you're just trying to protect that field position, not get yourself into a second and extra long. They're able to get rid of it.
Willie J, one of the true shining stars from that Grey Cup defensive effort for Winnipeg last November. Here in the rematch, making plays again as Arbuckle looks into the end zone. Open touchdown, Argonauts. Tavares Daniels has his 2nd of the season, and Arbuckle's got 2 at the start of Q2.
Watch for Daniels on the right side of your screen. Is essentially going to be wide open, just waiting on the football to come. A little bit of miscommunication on the back end for the Bombers on that one.
9 plays, 84 yards, and a little over 4 minutes. As Toronto, at the end of the first quarter, operating in that same end, could barely get a snap. Back to Nick Arbuckle, rolling around, taking sacks, sloppy plays, giving up a fumble for a touchdown to James Waters. Flip directions of the field, into the end zone you go. Toronto takes the lead back.
Well, for the Argos, 3 defenders into that side of the field. Tavares Daniels is the inside man. There are 3 defenders out there, but they're playing zone. And so you're going to see the halfback, Dietrich Nichols, kind of gets hung up trying to figure out what those first 2 receivers are doing. As a result, he's a little late falling back inside to get to Tavares Daniels on the deeper route. I mean, it was all very casual, it appeared, from a Toronto Argonaut point of view. Daniels kind of recognized they were giving him that space.
Almost in slow motion, but just smooth, right time, right place. As big return here, flagged down as well. On the return as Vavel makes his way out towards the 40-yard line is Tavares Daniels, continuously making big plays up to 42 career touchdowns.
Winnipeg number 47, 10-yard penalty, First down.
Bombers backed up a little bit here, but you see some of the great active players in the Canadian Football League. Gino Lewis making the move to Ottawa there, leads with 43. Nick Dembski hot on the heels, and he's been on a heater so far this season. 5 touchdowns already, so expect to see him in the end zone at some point this evening trying to catch up to Tavares.
It's pretty cool to see Nick Dembski at this stage of his career. A 2015 draftee of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, found his way back home to Winnipeg, but on many lists near the top, among the top receivers in the Canadian Football League. Obviously, he's right up there in terms of the consecutive games with a reception streak as well, and there you saw the active touchdown leader.
Not if, but when Dembski gets into the end zone at some point, as Kevin Clercius this time slides his way down inside, is the man with the strongest hands in the 2024 CFL Combine hauls in the catch.
Yes, I know that was a number from the testing that really caught your attention. Particularly, it's one that you expect the offensive linemen to have the top numbers, offensive line, defensive line, but Clercius crushing the football as he brings it in.
Yeah, the grip strength test there, underrated, but Clercius, second-round pick, 13th overall at a UConn, as an injured Toronto Argonaut is down, and Cam Judge is getting looked at. He was like in behind the play that time, as he's obviously in some discomfort.
Important guy in this Argonaut defense with his versatility. Big trade acquisition in the offseason as they brought him back to Toronto in exchange for Folarin Orimolade, who went to Calgary.
Hoping that's just a stinger, because you can see him trying to regain some of that feeling in his right hand as they're working their way through the neck. But not a great feeling. Being caught in behind the play, a defense that's missed Wynton McManus for a big chunk at the start of this season, not helping in their 1-5 beginnings. But Cam Judge, one of those cerebral players, Jason Shivers told us this week, is not necessarily the heart, but maybe the brains of this defense. He's able to carry a lot of different calls. As you see there, Kevin Ivan, also defensive co-coordinator alongside Shivers. And good to see Judge onto his feet and walking off.
Judge, a former #2 overall pick. The CFL draft back in 2017. Another guy who started his career wearing green. Saskatchewan Roughrider.
So Zach Collaros locks in here with a fresh set of downs after Kevin Clercius moves the chains. Sliding inside on a little play action fake. Brady Oliveira, haven't said his name last couple of minutes. It's been the Bombers defense doing all the work. We'll see if they give him some love here on 1st and 10. Nope, Zach fakes it, pumps, pressure on, and then dumps this one away. And did he get it beyond the original line of scrimmage? Yes, he did, outside the pocket as well. There's Ryan Dinwiddie imploring his case. There was no receiver around, but as long as he's outside and throws it beyond the line of scrimmage, there's Chatfield getting after it.
Chatfield among the CFL leaders. Pressures and sacks in the early part of this season. Picked up from Ottawa in the offseason.
What will Shivers and Ivan do here on 2nd and long? They send a little bit of twist and pressure. Collaros dances his way out of it. Backhand shovels it forward, and it'll be incomplete. Just trying to dump that one down underneath, and Wynton McManus not able to sell it, as Brady Oliveira was the intended target. Plenty of throwing the football here as the rain has stopped for the moment, trying to take advantage of it in this little lull.
Both teams have had their stretches in this game of kind of dialing up the heat on the opposing quarterback, creating a little bit of mayhem. Opportunity here for the Argos to start this drive with a short field with the Bombers backed up.
Marion Grant standing back with Dave Unger. And a lot of two-man returns. You don't want that ball sliding around and skipping. They protect the return, but it does go to Grant. Again, tries to cut his way back inside, and after a 56-yard punt, a pretty good return effort. As Janarian Grant No touchdowns on punt returns so far this season. Actually, his longest punt return of the year, 11 yards coming into tonight. More of a kickoff return specialist, but doing what he can to help the field position for this Argonauts offense. Last November, 111th Grey Cup, 4 interceptions for Zach Collaros on the biggest stage of them all in the Canadian Football League. It was a bit of a nightmare. Matthew Shinetti has more on maybe a little bit of a revenge feel going into this one.
Yeah, you would think, Marshall, that would be the subplot of this game, but we spoke to Willie Jefferson, Zach Collaros, and of course head coach Mike O'Shea this week on Zoom, and they didn't bite. And when I spoke to Nick Dembski as he was walking on the field for his warm-ups, he didn't either. And this is the point that Mike O'Shea made to us this week. There are pillars that have really built the foundation that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been on that have led them to 5 straight Grey Cups. And a lot of that is personal accountability. When I was speaking to Nick Dembski about this, he said all of us understand what we need to do. There's no rah-rah, there's no whiteboard material, there's no need to look at the Grey Cup for any sense of motivation. All we're motivated by is a chance to win.
Yeah, absolutely. You get that sense, just the maturity of the core, Matthew, to your point, of every single guy just going, yeah, you know what, like, obviously it sucks. Obviously we wish we won. We don't like that we lost the Argonauts in the Grey Cup last couple. But we just got to come out here and get a victory and keep building, and hey, maybe we'll get another opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, they have been very consistent, and it's not surprising when you know Mike O'Shea, what sort of the culture, the mentality of this team is, but just very consistent in terms of their approach that really is more about process than outcomes, because if you get the process right, you're generally going to get positive or desired outcomes.
Give a hand up inside. Kalen Leyburn breaks across the plane. It's the 30-25, and finally Griffin pushes him out of bounds. Trying to atone for the fumble that went to the house the other direction for James Vaughters. Kalen Leyburn breaks one right through the middle of the Bombers' D.
Yeah, Argos with a big lineup, 6-0 lineman in. Beautiful cutback. Leyburn, he turns on the Jets. Leyburn here in his second stint as a Toronto Argonaut. Originally acquired from Edmonton with Jake Serezna prior to last season. Leyburn was released by the Argos, picked up by Ottawa, so played a chunk of last season with the Red Blacks, but with the injury struggles they've had at running back this year, he was brought back in.
Could he be the answer for them? Well, certainly on the receiving end, Demonte Coxey has been the answer. He just refuses to be tackled. As we were talking about the Bombers and their maturity, Coxey was spinning his way off of tackles at the start of this drive as Nick Arbuckle completes yet another pass the way of Demonte Coxey, and here they are inside the 20-yard line, and these two teams have been lethal when they get close.
And the key from an Argos point of view has been getting down here.
Leyburn trying to turn the leg, stays on his feet, sat into the chair that time and then straightened his way back up with the lower body power. I think the Bombers thought he was going to go down to the turf easily. But they are getting closer and closer, and there's an injured Winnipeg Blue Bomber down on the field here as well. As we will take a break and come back as James Vaughters, with the touchdown earlier on, is on the turf. Get ready for the Women's Euro Final. It's England going up against Spain. Tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on TSN and CTV. Just really holding out hope Norway was going to make a push in the tournament. At one point they were up 3-1. Then Iceland stormed back, scored a 95th minute goal in extra time. That's pretty much it for Norway at that point in the tournament. Yeah.
You've got those Norwegian roots.
Yeah, the Duolingo streak has been good. Little jet pass here as Willie Jefferson gives chase. Oh, cutting it back. And there's a flag in behind the play. What a jump cut that time from Janarian Grant, trying to find creative ways to get number 3 into the mix.
Well, already with a pass completion in this ball game.
Shake of the head. I think Janarian understanding this one's coming back.
Holding, Toronto number 30, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Here you see Janarian Grant in motion, trying to get a jump start here. Willie Jefferson in hot pursuit.
I know know it's understated because we all understand the type of player Willie Jefferson is, but 11th year and a pass rusher, and he sees a jet sweep going the other direction. He chases it down from the backside. That is great stuff from Willie J. As now Arbuckle looks to the outside, perfectly timed, but the placement just a little bit off for Tavares Daniels up against Dietrich Nichols.
Yeah, Daniels trying to fight his way back out to that football, but just couldn't get there.
Terrell Bonds and Dietrich Nichols working in that boundary. Trying to find a way to shut down DeMonte Coxie and Tavares Daniels. They move the receivers all over the place here in Toronto, but those are the primary matchups. As this time, Daniels and Coxie will line up right across from 24 and 1 in that Winnipeg secondary. Arbuckle, second and goal. Takes the snap, looks to his right, throws it to the outside and misses this one as well. High and away, incomplete. So Toronto's score zone percentage will take a hit in the wet here at BMO Field.
And you'll see this one just sails outside on Nick Arbuckle, looking to get Coxie coming back to the football, or Daniels rather, on the outside again. Very similar location to the first play.
Hajrullahu was 4 for 4 in that Grey Cup victory last November. Knocks this one through as well. Toronto leading the way with 6:57 remaining here in this first half of action. Nick Dembski sensational last week, despite the fact that, well, Calgary put up a real good showing down there in Winnipeg, but Dembski was a star among stars, no doubt.
Yeah, just continuing what has been a fantastic career for Nick Dembski as a Blue Bomber. Versatile receiver who can hurt you in so many different ways. Gets involved carrying the ball in the run game. Coming into formation as a blocker. Obviously one of the most explosive and consistent receivers in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, he's really taken off the last couple of games here, despite the fact that Winnipeg has lost those 2 games against the Calgary Stampeders, back-to-back coming in. Most important personal number maybe is his catch streak, because this one's intercepted. Jarrett Stearns was the intended receiver, but they'll stack the pile up. And Cam Judge, who had to be helped off the field in pain, goes and gets the interception up against Zach Collaros, who just pitched his 7th of the 2025 campaign.
Yeah, keep an eye on Cam Judge from his linebacker spot. Sits inside, but he has an idea where that ball's going and just cuts underneath. Nice jump. Extends in front of the receiver, Stearns, to create that turnover.
A great shot from our crew there. You can actually see in real time the ball kind of slide out of the bottom of Zach's hand. And as the ball's still in the air, you can see him go, man, because he knows something bad is about to happen. Cam Judge was that ominous feeling waiting on the other end. So Arbuckle, after missing a couple of throws into the end zone, gets another opportunity here. Fresh set of downs, looking down the field and flutters this one just off the mark as well. I appreciate how aggressive they are trying to throw it right now as the drizzle continues to come down on the lakeshore. But they've gotten away a little bit from Kalen Labor, and the last time we saw him touch the rock, he was ripping it through the middle of that Winnipeg defense, Dwayne.
Yeah, that big cutback left to right. You know, but I do think sometimes, though, when you get into wet field conditions, sometimes that run mentality can be overrated.
Yep.
Right? Like as I was saying earlier, it's being conservative isn't so much about your play calling, but just recognizing sort of in your movements that you need to be under control, running routes, etc.
Arbuckle looking into a window. That one real tight. Dietrich Nichols, excellent coverage. Flying out and nearly had a house call, taking it away from Dejon Brissett. So 2 and out after the Cam Judge interception. Liram Hajrullahu hits the field once again.
Dietrich Nichols, underrated as a real glue guy on this Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense. Did a nice job there to get his hands on it. But we've talked to Coach O'Shea in the past about Dietrich Nichols and what a great communicator he is on the back end.
Would have been Nichols' first interception of the season. That will have to wait, but it's back-to-back field goals knocked through by Lirim Hairolahu. They lead by 12 now, the Argonauts, 22-10 over Winnipeg.
The only thing I'm picking up's a cold Bud Light. The party's getting started. I'm hitting my stride. Sorry, baby, I can't talk. You caught me at a good time.
Ryan Dinwiddie probably wishing a couple of those field goals would have been majors, trying to extend the lead before they reach half here. The only touchdown so far for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, James Botters. Fumble recovery into the end zone. Had a field goal from Sergio Castillo. The offense not able to reach the end zone as of yet here in week number 8 as they're trying to avoid 3 straight losses after a couple of faltering efforts against the Calgary Stampeders. Claros begins the drive with a handoff inside. And that jersey is going to be plenty more muddy by the end of this one.
Maybe a little bit of a reset for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when you think about the way that they started this game and feeding the rock to Brady Oliveira.
It has been a long time since Winnipeg lost games by wide margins, nearly 4,000 days. That's what's on the line here tonight as they try to avoid it. Now Dembski hauls it in. Tyshawn Blackburn in coverage, but Dembski, the big explosive play. And Claros talked to us this week about how the percentages change. 60+% on a drive where you have an explosive, you go on to score. That's what they need here before the half.
And Nick Dembski is going to break this one out towards the corner. As you mentioned, Blackburn in coverage. He gets caught on the inside. Nice placement on the football from Zach Claros.
Back to the ground game they go. Brady Oliveira stutters his feet. Gets tackled after a minimal gain. For Dembski, set a career high 146 receiving yards against Calgary. Obviously, that beat his previous high of 137 set in 2023. So he is in a groove right now, certainly on the same page as Zach Claros.
Yeah, well, and on the very next play, Nick Dembski getting involved, blocking the backside defensive end. As I mentioned, a guy who brings all sorts to the table for this Winnipeg offense.
Well, some of the most versatile number 10 slot backs you'll see in the entire CFL on action here tonight between Kevin Mittal and Nick Dembski as they'll sprint. Oliveira out wide and a massive hit. Popped up in the air. Benji Franklin with a big assist from Wynton McManus. And Claros has another interception against the Double Blue.
You see the route come across the middle here towards the bottom of your screen. And Stearns had it in his hands, but just didn't get a chance to bring it down into his body before that hit came from Wynton McManus.
If you make the hit and it goes off your helmet, you should just get credit for the interception, no?
Well, should get credit for something. Big play there from the man in the middle, Wynton McManus.
Makes sense in a place that's going to host the World Cup to have a perfect header from Wynton McManus. Wonderful assist. And Benji Franklin.
First pick of the year.
Yep, beneficiary. So Arbuckle, after another Claros second quarter interception. That's another possession, but significantly more backed up than the last one. It was a good job that time by the Winnipeg front to stop Kalen Leyburn, turn them around for a minimal gain. And it looks like a timeout has been taken. It's the 3-minute warning. 22-10. Toronto in control. Their defense, really the story at this point. Wynton McManus making the big play as Benji Franklin intercepts Zach Claros.
Coming up at the half, we got Winnipeg's miscues so far. Tavares Daniels, Monte Coxey with some big plays, and Milt Siegel will explain why he loved playing in the rain during his playing days. Right, Beagle?
You can't stop the rain.
Delta big rain guy? Let's stick around and find out at half.
The secret life of Milton Stiegel.
Nick Arbuckle, after the 3-minute warning hit there on 2nd and 10, pressure's on. He's going to go middle screen, right down the pipe. Got the first down and more, all the way out to the 34-yard line. Tavares Daniels. Well, they had a couple of minutes to cook that one up on the Toronto sideline. They hit exactly as they expected.
I'm going to tell you, the Winnipeg defense was thinking exactly the same way I was in terms of how aggressive they were in their pressure on that 2nd down. You've just turned over the ball deep in opponent's territory. Late in the half, you want to get the ball back before they're able to get a couple of first downs and change the field position. Well, the Argos figured out what they were thinking too and executed that screen to perfection.
You just know as soon as the 3-minute warning hit that Ryan Dinwiddie probably looked in the eyes of Nick Arbuckle and went, what do you think they're going to give us here?
All kinds of heat.
All right, what's our best call against heat? You go to the call sheet, you find that one, and all of a sudden, 23 yards later, it's 1st and 10. Digging their way out. With 2:40 remaining in the first half. This time just a 4-man rush. Arbuckle, quick completion. And out near the 40-yard line is lunging his way forward is Dejon Brissett.
Brissett, former number 2 overall pick for these Toronto Argonauts. You see Jordan Younger, best known as a player for his time with the Toronto Argonauts. Terrific corner, number 26.
Back here calling the signals now against an empty set from the Argonauts. As that one, Kevin Mitchell doesn't even look like he's struggling to stay on his feet as people are wrapping him up. Laval versus Montreal, albeit slightly different eras there with Reto Cramdy trying to bring down Mittal, who just continues to roll his way forward. Another Argonauts first down.
Carabin versus Rougeor animosity runs deep.
Generations deep.
Yes, it spans generations.
Cramdy, heck of a player in his own right. This time we'll line up around Demonte Coxey, who's up against Terrell Bonds on 1st and 10. Cramdy blitzes off the edge. Arbuckle goes the other way. Dejon Brissett makes Evan Holm miss. And slides his way down across the 50, but crossing the 55 and into Winnipeg territory. Another completion, and Brissett playing a prominent role in this drive.
A terrific drive it's been for the Toronto Argonauts since taking over possession in their own end off the Benji Franklin interception. Stacking up a couple of first downs here and into Bomber territory.
Brissett continuing to get some work in his 4th year out of Virginia, Mississauga native. As Arbuckle goes with a little inside shovel this time. Kevin Mittal trying to find some different ways to get him the football. Incredibly high completion percentage to Kevin Mittal so far this season. Most of them designed near the line of scrimmage, at or behind the line of scrimmage, into the flats, but it's more about just trying to get it to him and see what he can create afterwards.
Oh, this is it. One of the things that I think probably every team noted when they first saw Kevin Mittal at the Combine last year was the fact that he's built more like a running back than like your typical receiver, but obviously runs very well. Terrific receiver who's a Heck Crichton winner during his time in U Sports.
2nd down. Arbuckle complete pass. Evan Holm will try to rip it away from Tavares Daniels, who refuses to go down until he's tossed to the turf at the end of the play by Vavel, who's in on defense. But Tavares Daniels, the veteran, showing some fight in the rain.
Arbuckle does a good job to handle that snap as it comes up a little low, recovers, gets the eyes up. Spotting the veteran, Tavares Daniels.
And quietly, Deontay McMahon made his way back into the huddle here as well. So McMahon on the field. Great to see him back after getting rolled up on at the beginning of this one. Hergy Mayala also on the field, number 1 for the Argonauts, as McMahon, the fake, and Kevin Mittal catches it again behind the line of scrimmage, pushed out of bounds. High efficiency, low risk. 33 seconds remain and a 12-point advantage for Toronto.
A lot of the passes that we see targeting Kevin Mittal and this Toronto Argonaut offense are what you would consider that extension of the run game by virtue of the high percentage stuff, as you said, close to the line of scrimmage. Get the ball in his hands quickly. Let him go to work with it.
Mittal taking a little breather in the huddle that time, bending down, catching his wind. And the ball never came up. Arbuckle was calling for it. Receivers all went. Peter Nicastro, the center.
Offside, Toronto. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
No, it's good to be the center, right? Because even when you're the one who appears to have made the mistake, the penalty's not on you.
Right. I thought we were going to pin it on Arbuckle somehow. Gets the snap cleanly this time. On second and long, he's got some running room. Arbuckle cuts back against the Grey, puts his shoulder down. And the Grey Cup MVP holds onto the football long enough. Gets it close as the clock rolls to 24 seconds.
It didn't look like sliding. It was a thought that ever crossed Nick Arbuckle's mind on this run.
Ran right into Trey Vavel as the ageless one. Jake Thomas was giving chase on 3rd and short. They'll give it to Deontay McMahon. Slides his way underneath the Bombers' tackle attempt. We'll move the chains here with 17 seconds remaining. Whistle this one in as Arbuckle gets ready to call the play in as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah, the clock management is going to be critical here for the Argos, as obviously they're trying to get to the end zone.
Who do you go to if you're Arbuckle down here? Look at the way of Mayala. Steps forward in the pocket, breaks the pocket. Now he slides. Brett Cramby right there on the spot, but Arbuckle grinding his way down the field on this one. 7 seconds remain. And what do you do if you're Ryan Dinwiddie here? One more shot?
Yeah, they've got enough time, I think, to take one quick shot at it.
Arbuckle at the line. They whistle it in. Clock is rolling. Arbuckle throws a fade to Monte Coxie, and that one incomplete. Terrell Bonds fighting all the way. Toronto wondering why there wasn't defensive pass interference there in the end zone. Arbuckle.
Yeah, and initially here, we'll take another look and see if there was actually any kind of clutching or grabbing, but my initial thought was that Bonds just held his position.
Well, Ryan Dinwiddie just had a career-long completion with the challenge flag. He let her rip as soon as he saw the replay, not waiting
Toronto
for upstairs.
Toronto is challenging that there was pass interference on the play. The replay center will review the play.
He still got it. He got that elbow up.
Oh, yeah. Former Grey Cup starter himself, Ryan Dinwiddie. Yeah, there you see the right arm briefly wrapped around Coxie on that one. You see look of surprise on Coxie's face.
Terrell Bonds, you get the sense that he knows he's got his hands full with Coxie tonight, doing everything he possibly can. CFL replay center will
After review by the replay center, the ruling on the field stands. Toronto will be charged with timeout.
A matter of Bonds holding his ground, and I mean, he basically shielded and walked DeMonte Coxie towards the sideline, got in the way, no doubt.
Yeah.
But was it materially affecting the ability to play the football, or was the ball just too far down in the end zone? Debate amongst yourselves at home over halftime. Iralahu with 1 second on the clock hammers this one through, and a 15-point advantage. No offensive touchdowns for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in that first half. Nick Arbuckle has a pair of majors. He's got one to Daniels, one to Coxie. Zach Collaros with a pair of interceptions. One of those coming off the helmet of Winton McManus, who started his evening right in the middle of the run game, getting after Brady Oliveira. But that sensational play will go down as an all-time quirky one for one of the best linebackers in the Canadian Football League. Benji Franklin again gets the stat. But McManus makes the play as Winton McManus is standing field side with Winton McManus.
How much fun is it playing in the rain, Winton, especially when the ball does all kinds of funny things like bounce off your head for an interception?
You know, games like these is what defensive players live for. You know, dirty games, you know, it's going to be a lot of run game. You know, the offense is having a hard time holding on to the ball. So, man, just come out, have fun, and, you know, play every game like it's your last.
15 up. You learned a lesson last week in Montreal about not capitalizing. What do you hope the reaction is this week against the Bombers?
Play every game like it's our last, man. We got to make sure we finish this game out like we don't have anything left.
Appreciate this.
Thank you.
The Toronto Argonauts in control of this one at home. Just 1-5 on the season, but 15 first downs, and the Winnipeg offense has been sputtering. The defense, they're making a bunch of plays right now and trying to hold their own. Willie Jefferson is field side alongside Matthew Shinetti.
Well, Willie, it's wet and nasty out here. Does it have to be patience in a situation like this when you're down coming out at half with obviously the field conditions?
Man, we just got to go out there and do us, right? You know, we've been having to deal with it for the whole first half. We know how it is. Win in the half, talked about it. Now we just got to come out here and play football.
Yeah, I know you're not looking to always get a turnover. You want to be assignment sound. But in this situation, do you attack them looking for a turnover to kind of change momentum?
You got to be always on the attack, right? Especially when you're down. So what we got to do is we just got to get to the quarterback and make it hard for him. If he is able to get the ball out, try to get to the ball and try to punch at it as much as we can.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that is the defensive veteran leader for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We just got word coming out to begin this second half. There you see Terry Wilson, number 3, talking to Mike O'Shea. There's a reason for that. Zach Collaros has not re-entered the playing field right now. He's not come out of the tunnel. So Chris Strevler and Terry Wilson were warming up on the sideline. Chris Kolinkowski was practicing some snaps with Terry Wilson. And the question becomes right now whether or not Wilson or Strevler will be the one going in at the controls. You would think Strevler, he is listed as the backup, but Wilson was the one that was working things through with Kolinkowski. So we'll keep an eye on that. Toronto gets possession first. Open up this second half. So Winnipeg's got a couple of minutes to determine what their plan of attack is and whether Collaros comes out of the tunnel as well. But Janarian Grant turns the corner and gets wrapped up, brought down at the 35-yard line as Nick Arbuckle. This feels like just a scratch and claw to the mountaintop with every inch that it takes kind of game for him right now.
Well, you heard the panel talk about it at halftime. Nick Arbuckle has made some plays with his arms, starting this one out on an aggressive note, going after it, but we've also seen him tuck that ball and run a couple of times. But all in all, a pretty good first half for the Toronto Argonaut quarterback, staking his team to a 2-score lead.
25 points on the board in the first half for a team that has struggled offensively in a variety of different categories to open up this season. Arbuckle begins throwing to the outside. Dave Unger makes the grab as Trey Vavel brings him down around the 48-yard line. But a first down on first down as Arbuckle picks up where he left off.
Yeah, Dave Unger towards the bottom of your screen, outside receiver. Does a nice job sitting down. His coverage is off him a little bit. But fighting through that contact to pick up the first down. Unger, not a big guy, but plays like a big guy.
As he's not defined by his size, can do all sorts of different things that people don't expect. As this time, it's Person that flies in. Jay Person off that edge. He has been active all night long. Opposite Willie Jefferson is James Vaughters with the play earlier on, but that defensive line for Winnipeg getting after Toronto up front.
Top left corner of your screen. Person getting in on that D-line rotation. Starts off, you saw him sort of redirect, starting to crash towards the run, but maintaining that leverage. to not let Nick Arbuckle break, contain, get outside to make a throw.
See how aggressive Toronto decides to be here on 2nd and 16. 4-man rush. Arbuckle, clean pocket, steps up, looks downfield, catch is made, first down. Demonte Coxey, who else on the receiving end for the big 2nd down conversion?
Coxey putting together makings of a monster night here. Just bounces back to the inside as he sees his quarterback on the move. Supplies a target to move the sticks, and once again, very quickly into Bomber territory, Marsh.
Monte Coxey now 6 catches, 145 yards in the ball game. Finding a way to be productive despite the conditions. As Deontay McMahon cuts his way back against the grain on first down. Interesting to see him more of the kind of bell cow main primary running back role than we've seen him the last couple of years, including as a standout kind of speed back in the Grey Cup last November.
Yeah, kind of almost a specialty package sort of player for the Argonauts prior to this season. I think the team recognizing that they have a pretty good weapon and want to get the ball in his hands more often.
McMahon identifying the front. Now he leaves to the flats. Arbuckle looks right, comes back middle. That's Kevin Mittal. And it's another first down with a 2nd down conversion as Mittal makes another grab. As Matthew Shinetti is at field level, has more on Zach Collaros. Matthew?
Yeah, guys, so far Zach Collaros has not come out of the Bombers locker room. Conspicuously, Jarius Jackson was late coming to the sidelines. I'm not tying that to the Collaros situation, but it certainly was conspicuous. I spoke to Collaros pregame about that neck issue that he had last week against Calgary. He said he was fine, but obviously given the physicality in the wet and the rain that the Argos put him through, it leaves you wondering how he's feeling after that first half, guys.
Yeah, no doubt. Those aches and pains add up as the season goes along. Thank you, Matthew. As Nick Arbuckle, little sidearm delivery this time. 3rd catch of the night. Dave Unger chopped down. Another solid gain on first down for the Argonauts.
You see Nick Arbuckle changing up his delivery to throw that one underneath the arm of Michael Griffin. Nice adjustment on the fly there from veteran quarterback.
Extra offensive lineman is in here. Darius Sirocco for the Argonauts. They'll run it with that heavy package. And on 2nd down and 2, it's another Argonauts first down, and back inside the score zone they go. And now can Nick Arbuckle close the deal and make some accurate throws with a wet football?
It'll be interesting to see if the Argos use McMahon in some different ways. Just seeing his versatility, ability to get out, maybe create a little bit of a mismatch in space. They can get a linebacker covering him.
Arbuckle hands it off inside. It looks like Willie Jefferson first to get his hands on Deontay McMahon, who's tackled, wrapped up just inside that 15-yard line.
See offensive line getting up into the 2nd level. Nice pickup on first down for McMahon.
Well, Arbuckle breaks the huddle here. Kalen Leyburn alongside him. Demonte Coxey, Devaris Daniels into the short side of the field. That's the bottom of your screen. They'll empty it out with Leyburn. Arbuckle looks the other way. Ball is tapped and knocked down, and Arbuckle tried to track down his own tip, but it falls to the turf incomplete. 3rd down, and the field goal unit once again comes out.
And such is the impact of Willie Jefferson. You're going to see he's blocked on this play. Jefferson coming from the offensive right side of the formation. John Boss gets hands on him, but Jefferson, like a shot blocker, coming out to defend a three-pointer just with that reach.
Tyra who knocks it through, and Willie J told us this week he wants to leave a legacy that's hard to catch. He wants a 100 sacks as quick as possible, play within the defense, be a great family man, leader, and we all know the knockdowns in combination with his sacks. That is the lethal combo is the Winnipeg quarterbacks. Who will it be? Looks like Chris Strevler taking the field when we return to BMO. Zach Collaros not on the sidelines right now, not on the field. Chris Strevler is in the huddle. Here's a look at his first half, right?
Yeah, we talked about it. There were stretches where there seemed to be a lot of pressure on Collaros. Not necessarily a lot of big collisions or big hits for the Winnipeg quarterback in that one, but see him maybe a little slow getting up after one early on, so we'll wait to see what information we get.
In comes Chris Strevler, 64% passer so far on the season. 36 and 56. 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Had a pair of interceptions in the game last week against the Calgary Stampeders when Zach Collaros left that ball game. We all know the running prowess that he has. A slippery field like this could have a little bit of a different threat, but still got to be able to throw the ball effectively, especially down 18 points here midway through the third quarter.
But definitely a guy who's, you alluded to, forces the Argos to defend a different dimension.
You see Collaros on the sidelines there in a jacket, so it looks like he is done for the night as they'll go with an inside shovel looking for Michael Chris Ike, and that one incomplete. The underhand pitch on second down, so a quick 2-and-out here for the Strevler experience for Winnipeg.
This is a play, obviously a play you could run with either quarterback in the ball game, but you may get a little bit more bite from the defense extending themselves, trying to defend against Strevler, getting to the edge on a keep that would open up the inside a little bit there for the fullback Chris Ike.
Who's there in coverage? Of course, Whit McManus. Identifying everything, run into the football. Jamison Sheehan's going to fake this one. Goes for a run right at the line. Can he get there and turn the corner? We'll see where they spot it. Looks like it was short. Sheehan believes that he got the first down, reached out the football, but it is short. So Mike O'Shea and the special teams unit of Winnipeg looking for a spark with Zach Collaros done for the evening. And Jamison Sheehan couldn't get far enough. Toronto possession with great field position as Kevin Mittal makes the play. Welcome back to BMO Field. Winton McManus in the locker room in before the game. Well, what is that? Doing a little dyno maybe? Oh, he's going to do it tonight. Okay, well, there's his son. Ah, that's where he... Okay. And do we get it into the game is the next question on that last little shovel, Chris Ike. There it is.
Yeah, looks like Daddy kept his promise.
You gotta love it. He knows who's watching. Garbuckle. Under center for the Toronto Argonauts, hands it off inside. The Argonauts lost last week to Montreal. They were up by 18 points in that one, just like they are right now, 28-10. Montreal came back to win. The last time that Toronto lost a game when they were up by 18 was back September 5th, 2016 against Hamilton. So not trying to recreate any of that history anytime soon for the 1-5 Argonauts right now, but also leading by 18 over Winnipeg, who are trying not to lose the game by 20 points or more for the third game in a row. Arbuckle wanted to get it out quick and won't have the opportunity. Flying through the middle of that defense. It's Devin Adams. His second sack of the year.
The middle of this Argonaut offensive line kind of got dented in a hurry. Adams and Waters meeting at the quarterback.
I say if Adams didn't get there, Waters was going to be there just as quickly, but all out pressure and the protection didn't match it that time. 6.5 remaining. Toronto Argonauts will be forced to send it away. I feel like we haven't said the name of John Haggerty very much here this evening. As the Aussie backward spiral drops this one down inside the 15-yard line. No yards. will be thrown on the 40-yard punt. As Devin Adams fired up, getting into the backfield, making some big plays. Needs his offense to come to life, but the Bombers D doing everything they can to hold Toronto at bay. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, one of the best ground attacks in the Canadian Football League. 123.8 yards per game, second in the CFL. And this man, Brady Oliveira, 5.9 yards per attempt, second amongst running backs behind only Ottawa's Daniel Adebaboye, the former Toronto Argonaut himself. But this is Brady trying to churn his way downhill as much as possible throughout this ball game, and certainly going to have to lean on him, you would think, to climb back in. But you start doing the percentages on time and score and quarter, and unless you're popping big runs, it's tough to keep going to the ground game. They'll fake it here. Strebler, nice ball placement, ripped that one to the outside. It falls incomplete. Strebler almost lost his helmet, and Nick Dembski struggling back up onto his feet.
Yeah, from a defensive point of view for the Toronto Argonauts, obviously, you know how big a threat Brady Oliveira is. You know what Chris Strebler can do on the ground as well, as you see the Bombers quarterback kind of getting steamrolled on that one. But when you're Toronto defensively, Kevin Iben, Jason Shivers as the co-defensive coordinators, you're going to try and force Chris Strebler to beat you throwing the football.
Absolutely. Flag comes up here. Looked like pre-snap is Tavares McFadden. Fell underneath. It should have had another interception. Falls incomplete. Looking for Jarreth Stearns as they'll sort out the penalty flag. And it's good to see Nick Dembski up onto his feet, running around, as he extended his catch streak to 77 straight games here tonight. He's only got the one so far on the evening, but extends it nonetheless.
We have 2 fouls on the play. Offside, Toronto number 94. Offside, Winnipeg number 10. We'll replay the play. Second down.
It never happened.
You know, if McFadden expected the play to be blown dead.
Yeah. Jason Shivers told us that he's been baiting people on film. That looked like he might have just been straightening up to look like he was falling asleep at the wheel a little bit. Strebler rips this shot into the hole in between zones. Benji Franklin comes in to get Stearns, but that is a clutch conversion on second down.
Yeah, nice toss from Strebler. Good job by Stearns to climb the ladder and get this one.
Back.
Sets up Winnipeg inside 5 minutes remaining in this third quarter with a 1st and 10. Do go to Oliveira, tracked down from behind. Eric Parrish caving in the backside of that Winnipeg offensive line.
Again, no surprise to see Toronto crashing hard on the run game on 1st down.
Puts Chris Strebler again into a difficult position as light drizzle continues to fall here at BMO Field. Slick football, and 2nd and 10. 5 options for Strebler. Hops to his right, steps forward, going to try to get it with his legs. And he gets 8 of the required 10. Will the offense stay on 3rd and 2 with Strebler at the helm, trailing by 18?
Yeah, as we're getting late in this third quarter, the 3-possession football game, Bombers kind of playing the odds, feeling like you're in the other team's territory, that this is close enough that they want to take a shot. Maintain possession here.
Grass on Strebler's helmet. Everybody completely soaked from the conditions here in week number 8 in the Grey Cup rematch at 3rd and 2. Strebler takes the snap. Quarterback lead pushing into the pile. And Winnipeg's offensive line, well, Well, it wasn't fast, but Rubbin's racing. They'll push their way right into the middle of that Toronto defense and move the sticks.
A little fake to Oliveira, who then becomes the lead blocker. Strebler, a powerful runner in his own right. Takes it up the gut. See Jason Hogan, his first year as the offensive coordinator of these Winnipeg Blue Bombers, taking over for Buck Pierce, now the head coach of the BC Lions.
Trying to figure out a way to chip away at this Argonauts advantage, and this won't help. Strebler skipping rocks into the middle of that Toronto defense. Colaros watches on. Stoic, but unquestionably frustrated. Back-to-back weeks not being able to complete the intended target. Go and get a win for Winnipeg.
A guy who, as we mentioned earlier, battled some injuries earlier in his career. I know maybe even more than the average player, Zach hates missing time.
Yeah. He's missed more than enough as Strebler steps in, checks it down to Brady Oliveira on 2nd and 10. And a powerful run by Brady O. Down to the 30-yard line that time. It's good for 16 yards and a first down conversion.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are proving to be survivors. A couple of impressive 2nd and 3rd down conversions to keep this drive alive and put themselves in scoring position.
Derek Sluka down on the field here after Brady Oliveira with the big conversion. We will step away while they take a look at the Argonauts free safety. 4th on TSN and TSN Plus. It's that time of year already? FedEx Cup playoffs are coming?
Apparently.
What happened to the summer? Derek Sluka down at the end of this last play. Free safety coming downhill.
Looked like awkward fall there after an issue with the footing. Jonathan Edward checking into the ball game in his place.
Strebler under center here on 1st and 10. Well, speed sweep. Cody Case gets a touch. Turns the corner. Good speed. Case that time is first year out of Illinois with a touchdown in his recent pass.
We mentioned Case getting a bit of an opportunity in that Bomber receiving core in the absence of Dalton Schoen. Obviously, different type of player. Got some action last year, primarily as a kick returner for the Bombers.
As Winnipeg 12 for 12 on short yardage sneaks coming into this ball game. You can improve that once again as they move the change. Strebler at the controls again with Zach Colaros out, and into the score zone they go. Strebler got the victory back in week number 1 when Zach Colaros was out with a 1-game suspension. Found a way to get the victory. Scrappy quarterback. If you're a fan of the CFL, you know his history well, but bad conditions, wet, playing on grass, trailing. Got that kind of gritty feel to it right now for number 17 as he tries to get the ball snapped on time. Like locked down to 1, they get it. Fakes it to Dembski, rips this one up the field into the end zone. Touchdown Winnipeg as Jonathan Edward tries to dig it out, but Strebler leading the charge with the first offensive touchdown of the ball game for Winnipeg.
Took a little bit of hustle to get this one off, just barely beating the play clock to get the ball snapped. A fake sweep to Dembski. Dembski keep the action rolling the other way. Strebler delivers an absolute strike for Jareth Stearns.
Just had a little bit of a New York Jets preseason Strevler flashback watching that one. The confidence. Roll to your right, rip it as hard as you can. Put it to the spot you want it. And on the final play of the third quarter, the gap is closed. 28-17. Toronto continues to lead over Winnipeg. But the Bombers are back into it. Close contest between these two since 2017. 8 of 12 meetings have been decided in the final 3 minutes. We'll find out if that stays true here in 2025 in the Grey Cup rematch. 28-17 is your score. A competitive one here, even though it feels like Toronto has been in control, Dwayne, throughout the game. 363 net yards, 4 turnovers at this point for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But is there a chance all it takes is a Strevler?
Well, you never know, right? I think big that they managed to put points on the board before the end of that third quarter and get themselves within a little bit better striking distance. This 3-score ball game felt a little bit tough, but Strevler, I thought, moved them pretty well on that last drive.
Get another look at the touchdown here on the final play of the third quarter over Tavares McFadden, who's got that incredible length out of Florida State. Jonathan Edward in the lineup for Derek Sluka, who had the non-contact injury. And rightfully so, Strevler. A little emotional energy on the sidelines there as Jareth Stearns gets an opportunity to celebrate. And now the question is, can Toronto answer, put together a drive, kill some clock, hold the lead that they weren't able to against the Montreal Alouettes in their most recent losses? Janarian Grant tries to turn the corner. Winnipeg special teams unit does a great job turning it back inside. And we get another look at the touchdown here where Strevler just rips it to the spot that he wanted, Dwayne.
Yeah, and you're going to see Jareth Stearns starts off as the number 3 receiver to that left side. He's going to motion all the way over and then working towards the corner. Gets in behind coverage, and Strevler will have that fake to Dembski motioning the other way in the backfield, creating a little misdirection. Just floats it over top of a couple of defenders. The waiting Jareth Stearns.
A couple of sideline high fives on his way to go see Stearns and visit the touchdown pass is Toronto with a free man rushing off the edge, try to get it to the outside, incomplete. Deontay McMahon can't hang on to it. Evan Holm right there on the ground in coverage as well, alongside Kyrie Wilson flying out from his weak side linebacker spot.
And this was another one where Nick Arbuckle had to change his arm angle because of an on-rushing defender. It seemed like that time unable to find a slot or a throwing lane that quite worked to connect with the intended receiver.
Well, pressure's on here. Strevler's got a little bit of momentum going Winnipeg's way. 2nd down and 10. Backed up in your own end. You're 1 and 5. Arbuckle goes hard count. Nobody jumps offside. Now he steps up in the pocket. Nobody's open. Nick's going to use his legs. Has to get to the 35. He does and slides down. The Grey Cup MVP answers the moment.
A slow developing play, to say the least, and almost strange in the way the second level just completely opened up. For Nick Arbuckle to reach that first down marker before he even encounters a Bomber defender.
Arbuckle on 1st and 10. Hands it off. Refusing to go down. Okay, McMahon with an ankle injury early on in this game and feeling that one a little bit up onto his feet. You can see the spat, the tape, white around those black cleats. And makes his way gingerly to the sideline here as Kalen Layburn comes back in.
A little bit of a hobble there from McMahon. Gutting it out in this one after being hurt in the first quarter.
Gotta respect the way that he's approached this one here tonight. This once again 2nd down and 6. Hard count. Arbuckle manipulating the line of scrimmage. Blitz is on. Into pressure. Dave Unger at the 55. On the money against pressure, and a nice blitz pickup as well by Kalen Leyburn right in the middle of that offensive line.
Yeah, I love the job Leyburn did. Just hidden in behind the upright there, but watch him step in to pick up the linebacker Griffin and hold his ground. David Unger working into the middle of the field. Trey Vavel right on him. Unger making the grab nonetheless.
Empty it out here, try a middle screen. It worked earlier. Why not go back to it? It's getting aerial. That time is Tavares Daniels. A little bunny hop to get over one of the intended tacklers, and another first down on first down. A man who has a touchdown from earlier on in this game. Arbuckle in complete control of this offense as the Argonauts wait for the return of Chad Kelly.
And a big offensive series here for the Toronto Argonauts as Winnipeg garnered a little bit of momentum from the Stearns touchdown, but in addition, it's about time management right now for Winnipeg, and this is already about a 4-minute drive put together by the Toronto Argonauts and into Bomber territory.
Quick throw this time. Unger turns outside, gets the first down, wants some more, gets dragged down by Parker at around the 30-yard line. Unger, coach's son, asked him this week about how he got kind of the bug, how much he wanted to love football. He said, well, I was about 8 years old, walked into Alabama Bryant-Denny Stadium with my dad, my jaw dropped. That was when I had the bug and I wanted to be the best I could be. You can see the competitiveness here, Dwayne.
Absolutely. Mentioned earlier, Dave Unger plays much bigger than he measures. He's a very competitive guy, and again, a lot of that comes from, as he says, people doubting him, maybe judging him based on appearance.
Arbuckle looks to throw. Finds Kevin Mittal at the line of scrimmage, and Mittal puts his head down, drives forward. We're going back-to-back to the CFL draft picks here in Unger and Kevin Mittal. And it'll leave second down and 5. I did love when Unger said to us this week that coach's son, yeah, it made me more competitive. You know, I've been around the game since I was a kid, and he kind of paused and he went, yeah, my dad was pretty tough on me. He's like, yeah, he got the best out of me. It kind of carved me into who I am. But it shows here on a Grey Cup rematch on a Saturday night at BMO Field. Nick Arbuckle, his 12th career 300-yard passing game. They'll look to hand it off, though. Kalen Leyburn bounces it. And on second down and 5, going nowhere that time. Retta Cramby rallying well to the outside. Terrell Bonds came up as well as Cameron Lawson, Queens grad. Defensive tackle right in the middle of the fray.
And there you see the Bomber defensive line doing a nice job flattening that one out, not giving the back an opportunity to get north-south here.
As Trey Vavel down right now, looks like maybe some cramping and an injury here at BMO Field. Devontae Coxie came into week number 8 with 26 catches so far on the season. Well, you could take 6 more on, but really it's more about the yardage total. It began with a bang right here. As Janarian Grant, the lefty, slung it down the field and found 86, but he's up over 145 yards receiving right now. Didn't have a 100-yard receiving game coming into this one.
Yeah, didn't like being stuck at that 99. Coxie decided to smash the century mark in the first half of this ball game. Little question who the go-to man is when they need a big play.
Trey Vavel was attended to during the break, but 3rd down and 4. Argonauts going hard count, trying to draw some free yardage out of that Winnipeg defense. Flags
Time
come
count
up.
violation. Toronto number 4. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
And Liram Hairolahu onto the field to attempt another field goal, as he is already 5 of 5 here tonight, setting a new season single game high. Previously it was 3, and now he looks to go 6 for 6. inching ever close to that record performance that he had here at home field last season.
Yes, sir.
Plant foot stays steady, and the right foot never in question. Lirim Hairolahu knocks it through once again, and it's a 31-17 Argos advantage. Quinton McManus with a wild play earlier on in this one. I'll just throw a little route over the middle. Nope, no chance. Jared Stearns gets popped. Ball goes off the helmet and into the waiting arms of Benji Franklin. Winton is a great player and always a great chat. He usually has them with Matthew Shinetti.
Yeah, you know, Marshall, doesn't take your friendly neighborhood sideline reporter to point out that Quinton McManus is essentially playing on one leg to start the early part of this season. In training camp, he had an issue with his MCL. He re-injured it in that first game against Montreal, came back last week against Montreal. And yet I've been asking him, how much has this been a test of your leadership, knowing what you're dealing with? There is no fear that he will re-injure his knee or make it worse. But the one thing McManus said is, I know I have to step up. I'm always talking. I'm always in everybody's ear. But I have to lay my body on the line because we're missing Chad Kelly, because we're missing Ryan Hunt. We're missing our leaders, so I have to be even more of a leader now. It may sound cliche, but you can absolutely see Quinton McManus stepping up, guys.
He's got the brace on that right leg, and Pat Neufeld burying him that time, but Quinton doing everything he can to try and slow down Brady Oliveira. Thank you, Matthew. As Chris Strevler tries to continue the comeback here, puts it back into the waiting arms of Oliveira. Short gain that time on first down. Quinton really is the energizer that runs this whole machine defensively for Jason Shivers and Kevin Ivan.
Yeah, a heart and soul guy, and obviously one whose play does a lot of the talking for him as well. Productive player for this Toronto Argonaut team, and no surprise to see him in the middle of one of the biggest plays of the first half of this ball game.
Substitution package here. McManus watches from the sideline as Toronto sends four against Strevler. He'll throw into traffic. Incomplete. Looking for Nick Dembski that time. Couldn't squeeze it in between the zones. It's good to see Derek Sluka back out onto the field that time, as the Argonauts punt return unit goes back with Janarian Grant and Dave Unger.
And Nick Dembski coming out of the slot down low. Three receiver towards the bottom of the screen. And just looked almost a little bit as if quarterback and receiver weren't quite on the same page as to where that one was going.
Jamison Sheehan tried the fake earlier with the run. Thinks better of it this time. Goes for a 46-yard punt. And the Toronto Argonauts will try to shut this down with a two-score advantage. The Toronto Argonauts swept the 2024 regular season series with Winnipeg by a combined 5 points to win this week. A 3-game winning streak versus Winnipeg, the first time in over a decade. And for a minute there, it was in question because the conditions got real sloppy real quick, and all mayhem broke loose. Somehow, these veterans have settled in. The ponchos are working. As flags come up here, get this drive going for Toronto, but it was mayhem for about 10 minutes of real time.
Procedure, Toronto number 66. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down. Timer, we're going to hold the clock.
And it has been significantly more uniform since, as that time the flag goes against Shane Richards, the former first overall pick from Crescent Heights and the Calgary Colts.
Shane Richards played his college ball at Oklahoma State. Spent his entire career with the Argos except for one season as an Edmonton Elk.
First overall pick, they let go to free agency, goes to Edmonton, gets let go, and lands back here in Toronto. Their offensive line significantly banged up. We mentioned John Boss off the top, working at right tackle with Ryan Hunter. Really unfortunate injury to lose last year's most outstanding offensive lineman as they try to run behind this big offensive line to grind some clock with Deontay McMahon.
Yeah, a lot of bodies out, and offensive line injuries have been one of the sort of subtle storylines of this 2025 season. It seems like something so many teams are grappling with, but Ryan Hunter out, Dylan Giffen out of the lineup, Sage Dockstader a late scratch today, Anam Dankwa out as well.
cutting it back on second down. They'll stay on the ground. And McMahon wrapped up. Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant there, Anthony Vandell in the middle of the offensive line. Let's go, as well, Darius Sirocco in there, the lineup. Peter Nicastro there. Everybody's just going, well, when's Chad coming back? We got to have Chad back. It's like there's a lot more going on here with Toronto at 1-5.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing for the Toronto Argonauts is they need to find a way to get it done regardless of who's playing quarterback for them.
As Kelly watches on from the sideline. Wynton McManus and the Toronto defense will apply their trade once more as John Haggerty wobbling in the spiral, drops down. Cody Case at the 33-yard line. Solid return from Case. A flag comes up here at the end of the play as well. And we still have a 2-score game with plenty of time.
During the return, holding, Winnipeg number 34. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That one goes against Connor Shea. 6th overall selection from this year's draft. Strevler steps into the huddle. Gets everyone set, trailing by 14. 5.5 minutes remaining.
That'll be interesting at this point, as even on their last possession, Winnipeg was still leaning on Brady Oliveira in the run game a little bit, but now as that time becomes that much more of a crunch for the Bombers, Strevler's going to have to complete some balls.
Strevler rolls away from pressure, flips this one over his shoulder for the second time tonight. Ross McFadden wishes he would have had that one. It hits him right in the middle of the two. Can't haul it in. Ryan Dinwiddie chasing him up the sideline saying, keep playing, you're close.
And you'll see his Strevler running to his left, throwing the football, and this one sails on him a little bit over the head of the intended receiver. I think McFadden might have been hard-pressed to stay in bounds with that one regardless.
To your point, though, a ball fake and rolling all the way to the field. You know you got to throw. Flag comes up. Looks like Toronto might have been offside. Strevler gets popped as he delivers. And a big hit on both ends of the play as Jared Stearns hauls it in. Strevler onto his feet. And they'll sort out the penalty flag. Tom Valesi, our referee.
Offside. Toronto number 94. That penalty be declined. The result of the play is a first down.
Andrew Chatfield Jr. looking for that 6th sack of the season.
Now watch for Chatfield coming off the edge. Delivering a shot on Strevler, who stands in there and completes that bullet.
And Strevler now looks to his right, finds the open man. Collision outside is Kevin Sklercius. Hasn't said his name in quite some time, but a release valve pays off. Another first down for Winnipeg.
Sklercius, the second-year man. Seen a lot of players from the last couple drafts for Winnipeg as the team gets a little bit younger.
Strevler with flags down. Tries to check it down to Brady Oliveira. Falls incomplete.
Holding. Winnipeg number 68. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Micah Vanderpool, left tackle in for Stanley Bryant. Injured tonight, takes the penalty. That'll back Winnipeg up significantly.
See, Vanderpool just got beaten on the inside. Had to hook the defender with a little bit of a half bear hug.
First and 20. 3-man rush. Strevler's got all day. Stands flat-footed and rips that one. It's like they'll spot it. The gain of about 8 leaves second down and 12. This Carrick Wheatfall had an opportunity to have a touchdown early on. This one slipped through his arms. Need a couple more big plays from him, especially headed towards the end zone here. If Winnipeg wants to get back into a quick throw on second down. And they go with a quick slant. Brought down by Isaac D'Arcangelo alongside Benji Franklin. And Strevler looks like he wanted to get on the ball quickly, but I believe Winnipeg has called time. Well, they got some time to talk it over here, Dwayne, on third down.
Right, a little time before that 3-minute warning. Back-to-back plays after taking that penalty, sort of get half the yardage needed at a time, so a good chunk on first down, getting about 8 or 9.
It really is amazing how it sets you back against the sticks, though, right?
Yeah.
To take a 10-yard penalty, it's, instead of being able to be aggressive and go, okay, 1st and 10, let's do what we want, 2nd and 3, let's.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like, oh, it's a 3-play excursion to just try and get back to where you were.
Yeah, we talked earlier about sort of some of those analytics, right? The kinds of plays that are important to being successful, and I mean, winning the penalty battle goes a long way towards winning games as well. It puts you in a hole when you take them.
3rd and 5, blitz is on. Strevler throws into it. Cody Case can't hang on. It is incomplete.
Yeah, it looked like Case had that first down yardage. See him lined up out wide. Just going to slant down to the inside. Pressure coming, but Strevler gets it out quickly and accurately, but Case just couldn't make the grab.
Toronto gains possession here. The turnover on downs and the incompletion. Looking for Case as Arbuckle turns around, hands this one off, and Kalen Leyburn driving the legs that time for a gain of 4. As we have hit the 3-minute warning, and Toronto on their way towards a 3-game win streak over the Bombers for the first time since 2015. See if they can shut it down in the 6th when we return. It's a cat battle. Week 8. It wraps up tomorrow. Kenny Lawler and the Red Hot Tiger Cats head west to take on Nathan Rourke and the Lions. Coverage begins 7 Eastern, 6 Pacific on TSN. I think the Lions triple Kenny here. Somebody's got to do it.
Whatever it takes.
2nd down here for the Toronto Argonauts. Inside the 3-minute warning, and Nick Arbuckle trying to salt this one away. Hands it off inside. Cody Case, who had the drop on that last possession, will go back and get set to return this punt.
Definitely missed opportunity on the last possession for the Bombers, having worked their way into Argo's territory. Well, have a long way to go here, presumably. The clock ticking down against them.
Special teams coordinator Mickey Donovan, I'm sure. Max protect. Not allowing any pressure in on John Haggerty, and then got to get down and cover it. Execute at the end of games to secure their 2nd victory of the season here in week number 8. The flag comes up as Haggerty gets it away.
Time count violation. Toronto number 29. 10-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Well, not ideal execution on that one, trying to get the kick away, but maybe just trying to sort out some protection details up front. Took too long.
The Bombers happy to take a little extra yardage any way they can get it.
Case likely feels nice wandering forwards a couple extra yards, but feel a lot better if he got a quality return out of this one to set up Chris Strevler with a short field, 2.5 minutes remaining and trailing 31-17. Nice kick that time from Haggerty. Drives Case all the way back inside his 20. 58-yard punt and quality coverage to go right alongside it as Mark Milton downfield. Cody Case looks to be injured on the tackle. Training staff immediately out.
It looked like Case was losing his footing just as he got hit here.
Just gets rolled up on.
Yeah, that left ankle got twisted in a way that it shouldn't have been twisted.
And a man who understands far too much about being on the trainer's table, Mike O'Shea, trying to control his team and the emotions at the end of this one on a difficult night with 2:20 remaining. As Nick Arbuckle at the controls for the Toronto Argonauts, and a bright spot despite a rough patch when the weather got real nasty earlier on, but get a sense that he has a great understanding of this offense, and he's put it on display here in a home victory pending the next couple of minutes, right?
Yeah, Nick Arbuckle, to me, has looked very poised in this ball game, and bounced back when he's had stretches where things maybe haven't gone quite as he wanted, where a couple stretches where he might have had 2 or 3 throws in a row that got away from him, didn't quite end the way they wanted, but has bounced back from that, moving the football when he's needed to. Some clutch throws.
It's an easy storyline for us to be able to say, well, it's the Grey Cup rematch. He's the Grey Cup MVP. It's the same team. It's this. There's a lot of moving pieces. This Toronto team looks significantly different. Winnipeg has had a lot of moving pieces as well. It was interesting to hear Mike O'Shea, after you asked him a question this week, say, it's interesting. I hadn't really thought about how many players in this league we've interacted with, which was an interesting way of saying they've been around, we've had them, they've left.
Yeah, well, and it wasn't part of what he was trying to say. Is Osha's honestly as humble a guy as you're ever going to meet in the world of professional sports, not just in football, but it speaks to his longevity as well as a coach in this league.
And one of the true quality people in the game as they assist Cody Case, unfortunately, to an assisted ride off the field. And a shake of the head there from Mike O'Shea. Night where Zach Collaros didn't come out for the second half in uniform. Cody Case gets banged up with a tough injury, and the training staff will take care of him.
Argos, meanwhile, waiting for an update on the future of Chad Kelly. He's been out since his leg injury in the East Final last year. Obviously taking longer than expected to recover.
And talk about Kelly in that East Final when he got banged up as Cody Case makes his way with the training staff off the field to a round of applause from the 13,000 plus here at BMO Field. But Montreal, obviously the team that hosted that East Final last year that Chad Kelly got injured in. You think about the standings and where things are right now. How about the Alouettes over their last 2 games, leading for less than 7 minutes total between those 2 games and having 2 victories? That's what Ryan Dinwiddie and the Argonauts are chasing right now in the East Division.
Well, that's part of good team finding a way to win. Montreal.
Strebler throws a crossing route underneath. Joey Corcoran makes the grab on 1st and 10. Gets a gain of 8, maybe 9 on the play. And they'll go quick to the line of scrimmage here, try and ramp up the pace with 2:14 remaining.
Yeah, Cork going to get a good run here on offense in the absence of Cody Case.
Trevler gets it out once again underneath. Looks like they just... What would you call it in offense when you're playing the CFL, Dwayne? Just run the same play again. Was there a secret word? Give me the exact same thing.
I am trying to remember back to the days of the no-huddle offense.
Trevler steps up and checks this one down underneath. Brady Oliveira running through tacklers. What a great run by Brady that time. Crosses into Toronto territory.
And nothing fancy here from Brady Oliveira. It's good old-fashioned football.
The very best at putting his shoulder down and leaning forward at the end of a run. This time they go with a draw handoff to Oliveira. Argonauts defense all over it. Sniff that one out. Isaac Darkangelo. It's the final effort, stepping in. Darkangelo feels like the handyman in this Toronto defense. What do you need?
Yeah.
You want me to play over here, over there? A little bit of everywhere. And now everybody is on top of Chris Strevler. There's Jordan Williams.
Yeah, it looked like there might have been a glimmer of daylight there for Strevler. Strevler, just as he decided to run. The Toronto D-line, led by Williams, closed it down on him.
Strevler against a four-man rush, escapes to his right. It is third down. Throws his body across the middle. Dembski trying to get there, but another turnover on downs with 1:27 remaining. And the Bombers will come up short here in Toronto.
And Strevler does a good job getting out on the perimeter to buy himself time. Nice adjustment. As you just saw Dembski bounce out there. Got a hand on it, but couldn't reel it in.
1:27 remaining, and tough night for Dembski. Polaros and the rest of the Bombers offense got some help from James Vaughters with the fumble return earlier on, but outside of Chris Strevler ripping it to the end zone for Jarrett Stearns, not much to show here tonight at BMO Field. These two teams will play again coming up next week, Friday Night Football. Sliding down to the turf is Kalen Leyburn, getting his run in, and back-to-back games now as well. When you factor in the turnovers, obviously fumbles, interceptions, but turnovers on downs, that Winnipeg has had 6 turnovers in back-to-back games. That obviously comes by nature of having to go for it late in the game. That is not a number that will sit well as they fly home and get ready for the rematch.
Yeah, and I think part of the concern, as you say, sometimes it's a situational thing, but I mean, you look at some of the interceptions they've had, throwing some early as well in the ball game.
Stacked up on 2nd and 10 with the inside run. The Argonauts with their heavy package there, just trying to grind this away. Inside a minute remaining, 31-17. If there is a positive to take for Winnipeg as they head home, Dwayne, what do you think that is at this point coming out of this one?
Well, a lot of the issues that Winnipeg has had in this ball game, I think, are correctable. Quite frankly, I mean, I look at least one of the touchdowns they gave up in this ball game, probably a communication error.
Yep.
Right? The kind of thing that you fix with time. You look at the film, you make those adjustments. Some things in terms of dealing with the conditions, and maybe it's one of those, kind of first half of the season lessons that you learn in terms of having to figure those things out a little bit more quickly and make your adjustments. A lesson that may benefit you as the year goes on.
They'll do their best to piece it together. The question becomes, will it be Chris Strevler at the helm in the home date against the Argonauts next week?
Well, you have to be a little concerned, obviously, with Zach Collaros leaving back-to-back ball games early and a short week, going from Saturday game to Friday game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. in terms of trying to get Zach ready to go. So we'll see how that unfolds.
Toronto improves to 2-5 now with the victory. Winnipeg set to go to 3-3 on the season. Cam Judge continues to grind away. Real physical night for him. Really all the linebackers going to the football in the rain here. Saskatchewan out in front, controlling at 6-1. And this one on the turf, and Derek Sluka picks it up. I was going to say, it's not exactly a 100-yard return multiple times over, but somehow the football just seems to find Derek Sluka.
Yeah, he's got a bad ankle, decided to just protect the ball and get down with that when he's got enough return touchdowns already on the season. Brady Oliveira scratching and clawing. Cam Judge gets a hand on that one. Already with an interception in this game. Now the forced fumble added to his stats line.
I asked Jason Shivers this week about Derek Sluka, and he said, well, he was kind of sloppy and athletic at the start. 4 days to go in camp. We had some injuries. I was wondering if we were going to fly somebody in. Thought he was going to make the team as a receiver. Flips over to the defense. And by now, if you're a big-time CFL fan, you know the story. Makes a run of things here in that defense. A couple of major returns in the game on the road against the Ottawa Redblacks. And tonight, he and the Double Blue will celebrate their second victory of the CFL season as Mike O'Shea and Ryan Dinwiddie will meet at midfield. And Nick Arbuckle, with all the pressure and expectations swirling around of the return of Chad Kelly, Arbuckle just continues to put his head down and try to piece together solid performances. He does that once again tonight as Zach Collaros heads down the tunnel where he was slow coming out after halftime and never got a chance to play in the second half of this one. Banged up, and we'll follow up on his injury status going into the rematch of these two teams coming up next week. It was raining pretty hard at one point between these two. And indoors tomorrow at BC Place, the Tiger Cats and the Lions will wind down week number 8. And we'll see what Bo Levi and Mitchell can do up against Nathan Rourke. Should be a fast and fun one out on the West Coast for tonight at BMO Field by the Lakeshore. An entertaining throwdown between Winnipeg and Toronto in a Grey Cup rematch, and the Argos win 31-17.